Hey guys, how's it going? So today we are going to take a look at how the UnGoro Crater appears in World of Warcraft. The same as with the previous expansion, which was of course Gadgeton. I showed you guys how Gadgeton appears in World of Warcraft, and basically we just took a little stroll around Gadgeton and I showed you a little bit of a quest in there, even though it turns out that that quest, which actually makes up a big part of the existence of Gadgeton in World of Warcraft, even though that was not put into Hearthstone in any way, it was still pretty cool to see just how Gadgeton appears in World of Warcraft. So now today we are going to take a look at how the UnGoro Crater appears in World of Warcraft, because the upcoming expansion that is coming in April is going to revolve around the UnGoro Crater, and basically is going to contain a whole bunch of monsters and minions and all of that you can already find in World of Warcraft in the UnGoro Crater. And those include tar beasts and a whole bunch of dinosaurs and dinosaurs and gorillas and just a whole bunch of primordial monsters. So we are going to fly around the entire UnGoro Crater. It's going to take around 20 minutes or so just to show you all of the different locations, and that way you can just get an idea of what the expansion that is coming to Hearthstone is actually based on. So the actual UnGoro Crater is probably based on a real life place which you can actually find in Tanzania in Africa, and that place's name is the UnGoro Crater. And the UnGoro Crater is actually inside a volcano in real life. And there's a whole bunch of wildlife inside that volcano, like lions and just a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's pretty cool that the UnGoro Crater in World of Warcraft is actually based on a real life place. And the zone itself is actually a lot like the real life place that it is based on. It is basically a massive crater surrounded by deserts on all sides, and there's just a whole bunch of grass and trees and exotic creatures inside the crater, basically making it like an oasis. And one of the interesting things is that from the edge of the UnGoro Crater you can actually see Gadgeton. So right over there you can actually see Gadgeton with the sea behind it. So it's actually pretty cool that Gadgeton and the UnGoro Crater are located so close to each other in World of Warcraft, and it's quite ironic that these two expansions are being followed up on each other in Hearthstone also. So this is the UnGoro Crater. As you can see from the sky, it's quite green and it's surrounded by deserts. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty much a oasis of sorts. And there's a whole bunch of trees. From the top you basically can't see anything, but once we get in between the trees you guys will start to see a whole bunch of different wildlife. And this is basically the entire zone. It is located in Kalimdor, which is one of the continents in the Warcraft universe. And there you can see UnGoro Crater, and there are a whole bunch of different zones in the UnGoro Crater. We are currently located above the Shaper's Terrace, which is a little place that was added during the Cataclysm expansion, but it really doesn't pertain to the actual lore of the UnGoro Crater all that much, so I won't be showing that for you guys, since it definitely won't be put into the actual Hearthstone expansion. And then just to the left of that there is the Rolling Gardens, and to the left of that there's the Lakari tar pits, which basically have a bunch of tar beasts in it. And then there's the Screaming Reaches, with a bunch of dinosaurs, and the mossy pile with a bunch of oozes. Below that there's the Golkara hot springs with a bunch of dinosaurs once again. Terror Run also with a bunch of dinosaurs. And then there's the slithering scar with a bunch of silithid in it, or silithid. And then in the middle of the entire zone there is a big volcano, and that is called Fire Plume Ridge. So I'm just going to fly around the zone a little bit. As I said, it's about 20 minutes, so I'm obviously not going to be talking constantly since there's not a whole lot to be talking about, but I will be commenting on some of the creatures that we will be seeing. So in the meanwhile, just enjoy the in-game music of the UnGoro Crater and enjoy all of the visuals of the zone. It is a very nice green jungle zone. So here you can see the first raptor, the first dinosaur. It is Ravasaur Hunter. And there are a whole bunch of different raptors with the name Ravasaur. You get a Ravasaur Hunter, Ravasaur Stalker, and a whole bunch of other Ravasaurs. And basically they just have different colors. But obviously once they get put into Hearthstone, it will be a completely different card probably. So you will get a Ravasaur Hunter with one ability and a Ravasaur Stalker with another ability and perhaps Stealth or something like that. Here you can see one of the silithid. It is a Gorishi tunneler. And over here you can see a Gorishi stinger, which is basically exactly the same kind of silithid as Princess Huhuran. And here you can see a Gorishi Reaver. So that's pretty much all of the different silithid that you can get in this area of UnGoro Crater. Next we move into the Terror Run area. Now this area is the quote-unquote most difficult area of the entire UnGoro Crater, simply because it contains a lot of elite dinosaurs. And here you can see Elder Dimetrodon. And this is a Stegodon. And once again you get a bunch of different Dimetrodons and Stegodons in this entire area. So they will have different names, but they essentially do the same thing. But obviously once they are in Hearthstone, it will probably be a bunch of different cards. And here you can see a Blood Petal Flayer, and you get a whole bunch of different Blood Petal mobs in this entire zone also. You get green ones and red ones and a whole bunch of different ones. And here you can see a Frenzied Pterodax. And here we have a gluttonous ooze. Now, this exact model of the gluttonous ooze is already in the game, obviously. So I don't think they will be adding this guy into the game unless they choose a different model color for it, since there are these oozes that are a brownish reddish type color in the zone also. So maybe they will be adding a ooze, but just like a brown ooze in the UnGoro expansion. I don't know, maybe. And here we can see the Dinosaur Queen. Now, the Dinosaur Queen in this zone is part of a quest. It's one of the final quests in the zone while leveling, and you basically just have to kill her for the final quest. Now, a fun fact is that there is actually a very bigger than this Dinosaur Queen, dinosaur that roams the entire area. It roams all throughout the UnGoro Crater, and it basically looks the same as the Dinosaur Queen, but it's just much bigger, and it is white colored, much like the dinosaur that is in the movie Jurassic World. That one was also white. And unfortunately during this video I was not able to see it or to encounter it, since it is quite elusive and it roams the entire zone, so it's a little bit difficult to find it. But I am pretty certain that they will be adding that Dinosaur into the game, since it will make a very nice, big, scary legendary. And here around this lake we see some elementals. There are actually a whole bunch of different elementals in this zone. There are air elementals and fire elementals, and the lore behind a bunch of the cards is actually that the elementals of UnGoro that you see here have kind of infected or corrupted a lot of the local wildlife with their elemental magic. So you get a bunch of the dinosaurs that we have already seen in this video. You get a bunch of them that have fire in them, and like fire spikes, and then also a bunch of them that have like frost spikes and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So here you see the elementals, and even though there aren't any of those fire dinosaurs or frost dinosaurs in WoW, you will most certainly see them in the Hearthstone expansion. Here we are moving to the Lakari pits. Now the Lakari pits are for the most part just inhabited by tar beasts. Now tar beasts are actually already in the game in Hearthstone. Tar beasts are basically like the bog creeper and the fen creeper. So they are basically already in the game, but you can certainly expect more different types of them to be put into the expansion. And apart from that, there are also a bunch of gorillas located around the fungal rock cave. And they are basically just plain old gorillas, like the silverback patriarch, which is already in Hearthstone. But I will definitely expect the Hearthstone developers to make these gorillas with like fire, imbued with fire and imbued with frost and imbued with a whole bunch of different elemental powers, just to keep with the general idea of the entire expansion. So I think it will be a pretty good idea to make some fire gorillas and frost gorillas and stuff like that. Even though they don't appear like that in World of Warcraft, I still think it will be a pretty damn good idea. And here you can see the Fire Plume Ridge. It is basically a big volcano in the middle of the entire zone, and it is pretty much exclusively inhabited by elementals, fire elementals, and then there's one big fire elemental boss in the middle of it called Blaze Runner, and we may or may not see him get a legendary card in Hearthstone. Is not such a big deal in World of Warcraft, but certainly he is a special mob. So I do think that you can probably expect to see a legendary card of him make an appearance in Hearthstone. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. That is how the UnGoro Crater zone appears in World of Warcraft, and you can look forward to seeing a lot of these minions in the UnGoro expansion, which will be releasing in April. Now, this is also quite significant to the fact that this is going to be an expansion, since it is the very first time since the game was released, since Hearthstone was released, that they are releasing 2 expansions in a row. It has been a pattern since the very start of Hearthstone to release an adventure and then an expansion, and then once again an adventure and then an expansion. It has been that way all the way since the start of the game. So this is the first time that they have released 2 expansions in a row, which of course is Gadgeton and then also now the UnGoro expansion. So once the UnGoro expansion is released, then they would have added over 250 new cards in as little as 6 months. So that is pretty cool. So yeah guys, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.